Hello, I am creating this video to talk you through my process and product for iteration 3. So iteration 2 left off when I had used Voyant to look at various modes of natural language processing. And I decided to try a very different tool for this iteration because I want to see what the affordances and constraints are of different tools in this class with a data set that I'm fairly familiar with, or at least I thought I was before I used Voyant. Anyway, I used the exact same data set, so I didn't feel like I needed to clean up the data any more than what this particular what Mallet made me do, which was lemmatizing and stuff. And I'll talk about that a little bit. So let's talk about topic modeling a little bit. Like I said, used the same data set, and I initially found some open code just with Python, and I had a friend kind of help me with that a little bit, and I ran an initial topic model. I wasn't really happy with how it spit it out and how it was working, so I thought I would try Mallet. So I downloaded Mallet and went through the process of lemmatization and those types of things. I did have to get a little bit of help. My coding skills are subpar, and I'm hoping to spend this summer actually working on that. So what is linked online that you have access to are these topic models. So there are 20 that are here, and this is what Mallet gave me, and I can see the different weights of the different terms within the topic. And I'll be honest that with this product, even more than Voyant, I felt like with Voyant I was able to, there were so many different things that I could do on that interface, whereas this is just this list of words, and I found that even more overwhelming, which is strange because it requires me to make bigger analytical leaps, and I felt like the crutches of the of the tool, I didn't have any crutches. I have to figure out what this means, if it means anything. I realized very quickly also that a problem with using topic modeling for this particular project is that in some ways the study groups things into topics already. So the students are talking about 5 different sources, and I can see those 5 different sources kind of grouping themselves within topics here. So that's not telling me anything. Having said that, we're still seeing kind of some interesting stuff. If we look at the 01 add thing kind link. So link is always an interesting one, especially as somebody who studies source evaluation behaviors. Adds is also an interesting one for me. Give, read, good, title, page, click. Something you can click and link go together, and maybe even click and add go together. Anyway, these are the kind of things that I have been thinking through a lot. What does this even mean? And I think that that's kind of probably my biggest takeaway from this iteration, is that topic modeling definitely is something that is just a starting point and not really an end point. And that's something that Matt Lavin said when he came. He just said, a lot of times I'll even start with a topic model to uncover things that I didn't know before. And it allows me to browse things in ways that are kind of new and interesting. So after I went through this, and again, you have access to this, I had the same friend help me in a Jupyter notebook. Oops. This. Put these topic models into some visualization for me. And this is hosted locally, so it's harder for me to share this with you. But I wanted to show you this because I really like the visualization of how these topics were spread out. And so in blue, we'll see like how often these words showed up, and then in red, how often they showed up within the topic. So for these topics like 15 or 12, the words aren't showing up very much, and so they're definitely outliers. But in this topic, we're seeing these terms show up quite a lot. So reliable, still that word is a little bit complicated in the context of this study, since I think we really prompted students to use that word. Article also probably prompted. Source was not a word that we prompted students to use. So that's interesting. It would be interesting for me to look at this word in the context, like go back to voyant and see how often that word source was used and in what contexts. So this is actually a nice way for both of those things to work together. Source, like I'm seeing that that's showing up a lot. How is that functioning? Is it students saying, I wouldn't use this as a source, or I would? Or is it students saying, this is a well-sourced article? An article was the one right above it, right? So look, go, say, these are probably things that students are just saying out loud. Anyways, I think a lot of these have to do with just the students speaking out loud. Where's the second one? Here it is. So again, source is the top of the second one. No, reliable, look, make, say, go, article. So a lot of these the same. Credible is showing up on this one, which was something that, again, in Voyant, I was interested in that particular word, and if students think that it's similar or different than reliable. And then here's the third one. Article is showing up again. Source is still pretty high up there. So again, that actually is something I would definitely be looking at. Source is the top here. Look, reliable, seem. Is this seems reliable? Again, kind of some interesting things there. So that is an overview of the kind of process and the product that I have here. In terms of my mindful practice journal, I think that the biggest takeaway was just reflecting on topic modeling as a starting point and not an ending point. I really feel like this just got me into ideas, and it's not, and like I have to like finish the bat swing, and like make it into something. But as a fancy browsing technique, I think that it's really helpful. And it's certainly, I liked this visualization more than just the list of terms. In terms of my conclusions and what this iteration demonstrated for me, and the joys and the frustrations, I am consistently frustrated when I feel like I need to ask for help to do things. I would like just to be able to do it all myself, but I also need to acknowledge shortcomings isn't the right word, but my limitations. I'm not a computer scientist. I have a humanities degree and an information science degree, right? So having said that, I think it has showcased for me places where I could really learn some skills that would expedite these processes so I don't have to ask for help with coding. And so that's something I'm, again, going to work on. Another frustration was getting this webcast thing to work, which has nothing to do with this iteration, but there you go. And then in terms of the technical affordances of each tool, I, again, appreciated the visualization more than I appreciated just the list of terms. But that might just be me wanting something fancy to play with. So maybe that says more about me than about the tool. I've gotten some really good feedback from other students. So in terms of peer review, they were asking a lot about how Voyant works, and have gotten me thinking about different questions to ask. I do think it's really helpful to know the data really well before putting it through something like this, because I feel like I'm more able to feel strongly, or at least more confident in making conclusions, or at least knowing when the data is telling me something or when the visualization is telling me something and when it's not really. So that's something to be said about spending a lot of time with the data. Yeah, thank you for spending time with me looking at this. You will have access to the list of terms, and yeah.